Hello?
Hello.
Hey, this is Tim from Lady K. How you guys doing?
Hey, Tim, what's up? You've got rigging doctor.
Hey, great to hear from you guys. Thanks so much for replying to my Instagram message.
Yeah, no problem. I was just doing my daily Instagramming.
I know the feeling. We have that hour every day where we have to keep up with social media.
Yep, exactly. Are you guys, so you guys are in the Bahamas right now?
Yeah, we're just at the south end of Exuma in Georgetown.
Awesome. Cool. That's really cool. We never made it down to St. George.
Georgetown.
Oh. Georgetown.
Right. You're in Portugal now, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, we're in the
Azores.
Azores, so it's it's still
800 miles to go.
Yeah, it's pretty far from mainland Portugal, but it is technically Portugal.
It's crazy. We got to make a pretty big decision, and it's going to really impact what we do next.
Well, and your rigging needs to really hold up, too, because you're going to be beating most of the way down there.
Yeah, thorny path.
Yeah, exactly. We need to get something really good in place, and we can't just go drop $8,000 on new rigging. So we're trying to find a cheaper way to do it.
Yeah.
You guys have all synthetic rigging, right? You use
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all synthetic, and Herby actually did it all by himself. So it was super cheap. I think Dyneema's especially cheap if you're willing to try to do it by yourself.
It's cheaper. If you pay someone, the labor cost is just astronomical.
Yeah. I was reading your article or one of the blog posts you have about it, and looking at the labor costs and stuff, and I was like, wow, okay.
I mean, we're biased towards synthetic, especially me being a beginner with rigging and stuff. It's so easy to tell when you have any kind of a problem with it, because really you're only dealing with chafe, and that can be super easily prevented
and spotted.
So whereas the rigging you currently have could have tons of hairline fractures and you wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
Well, we were 4,400 for our boat with an entire spool for spare.
Oh, wow.
So we just had a phone conversation with Tim from
Lady K,
and they're in the Bahamas right now, as you heard. They needed a little advice with their rigging, and I think that this is a great example of what's so cool about the YouTube sailing community.
Yeah, we're all so far apart, spread all over the earth, but yet we're a phone call away, and we're all willing to help each other with whatever they need.
Yeah, exactly. And we all have different experiences, and so we're able to learn from each other, which is really cool, and one of the big reasons why we became YouTubers. So that was pretty cool. And thank you, Tim, for trusting us and getting in contact with us. Yeah, it was really nice talking to you.
Project Tim. We're finally going to glass in the floor that's going to be what you stand on in the head. So to do that, we're going to glass in the floors, and then the sole, and all these parts. Now the big trick, when you see a fiberglass boat, it might look like a big boat, but it's actually a huge molecule called a polymer. And it's just a lot of monomers, which are the single units, all linked together as a giant chain to make many mer units. What we're going to do in the head is glass in the bottom, going to cover pretty much everything down there, and get the whole structure to be all one unit, all put in at the same time. That way when it cures into one giant molecule. So the whole assembly is completely chemically bonded together, and that way it's super strong. Down here on the floor we have the rough cut foam. Now this is the foam that we're going to be laying in as the core for the sole that we're going to stand on. At this point what we have is the roving cutout, and it's just sized for where it's going to go. And then we're going to take it off, and then we're going to put the fillets, which are going to be thickened epoxy that runs in this area, just to kind of smooth off this flow so it's not a sharp turn. And then we'll put the roving over that, and then after that we're going to cover the entire room in chop strand mat. So the roving offers a lot of strength. It's really, really thick fiberglass cloth. This is it. So you can see they're huge, thick strands of fiberglass. They offer a whole bunch of strength in a very uniform package. So they're going to run on those areas, and then the chop strand mat goes over it just to smooth everything up. Chop strand mat, a good way to think of it, is just a sponge that holds resin so that other things can use it. And the fibers are oriented randomly in it, and they're very short. So they offer some strength in a general random direction, Whereas roving, it's set and it's biased. There's some that run one direction and then the rest run perpendicular to it. Roving gives you a more controlled, predictable direction of strength and force, where the chop strand mat just adds bulk, which gives strength indirectly. So by covering the whole area in chop strand mat, what it's going to do is it's going to just make this a really smooth surface that's easy to clean and easy to keep sealed. So that way we know that this whole basin, the whole bilge, is going to be waterproof and sealed, so that way when it's a shower in the future, it's not dumping water randomly into some part of the boat. Since I don't want my shoes getting destroyed and I don't want my feet covered in resin, I made my own little hazmat feet shoot booties. They're gallon Ziploc bags with some Gorilla Tape for the heel, for the top thing. Yeah, I'm not doing words well tonight. Okay, this took a lot more epoxy than I was expecting. We used almost a gallon of resin just for the subfloor, the bilge area of the shower. Now one thing I did do is I stuck down our old bilge pump strainer, and that is just to create a flat spot where the bilge pump is gonna go, or the sump pump. That way, when this is all done, we actually have a spot to mount the guy. Another beautiful day here, and that's a lot of hammering, so we'll continue this in a moment. So we're going to paint everything that's not going to be glued in the future. Areas that are going to be glued, we're not going to paint, because paint isn't a good surface to be adhering to. You want to adhere to other fiberglass areas.
So in order to save some money, we went to the supermarket to buy some bread and cheese. And the great thing about supermarkets here is they don't give you bags automatically, they just ask, do you want a bag? So you can be nice and green and environmentally friendly and say, no thanks, I'll just carry my cheese.
Now we're going to actually start putting the sole in and making the head look less like a structural area and more like an actual shower. So the first step is to put the grate in. So I've simply set it here. It's not permanent or anything. You can see I can lift it with my foot. The most important thing is I can stand on it. And it holds my weight just fine, which is really important because we're not really going to get any more vertical support for the shower floor. We're going to mix up some really, really thick epoxy, pretty much the consistency of peanut butter, but like really dry, old, nasty peanut butter. So that way it doesn't run anywhere. And we're just going to gob it on top of those sole bearers that we put in, and we're just going to squish the grate onto it. The resin's going to go up into the grate, it's going to get locked into there, it's going to adhere to the top of the sole bearers, and it's going to be stuck. Okay, I've glassed in this little upper support, or upper floor that's going to be in here, so when we come in to use the head, we don't have to step down a huge step. And then down here, we have the shower section, and this is step down. And that way I, most importantly, can stand up in here, because I've never been able to do that since I bought the boat. Now the shower is starting to look a lot more like an actual shower and a head. There's somewhere to stand, even though you can't stand anywhere because everything is wet epoxy. People think that cruising is just one constant vacation, and we're in a gorgeous place, but I've been down in the bilge of the head for a couple weeks, just working. And some days it's sunny, some days it's not. It doesn't matter. There's no vacation. It's just work. It's a different work. It's a very enjoyable work because, I mean, hey, you're sailing, you're traveling to totally new places. It's awesome, but it isn't a vacation. And then to make it even more interesting, while you're working and living in your tiny space is also a work site. So that means there's no escape, there's no vacation from that. One of the things that's been like a godsend here has been Scott and Grasa. They've let us stay at their house usually on the weekends. So we go and hang out with them. So it's a vacation from the work. So we work all work week, and then the vacation comes, or the weekend comes, and we take a break. And that has been an amazing respite because it lets you recharge, refocus, and then Monday morning you're ready to go to work again. So tonight, it's a Friday, and Maddie's going to a birthday party, and I'm going to a lodge meeting. No more filming of that. So what you doing?
I am cooking dinner tonight because it is the least we can do to even try to thank Scott and Grassa for all their hospitality. So hopefully we don't poison them. Accidentally, of course.
Don't you dare.
So what you making?
I'm making our rice and beans to represent Puerto Rico and some avocado chicken because it's delicious.
Sounds great.
Hi. No, I'm busy.
It's so creative. I've never seen you so creative as you are right now.
Did I not bring the pepper flakes? Can you look in?
You like that?
Yup. Well, here we go. Typical boat food for the Benevents.
We're back on the boat. We've received some mail from our parents, so now we have even more stuff crammed into the boat. And Paolo's currently sanding the bottom, so that way it'll be faired and then ready for paint in the spring. So right now I'm gonna run into town because one of our patrons, Dominic, actually sent us some money to buy a new camera. So he wants us to get the DJI Osmo, which is awesome. It's a gimbaled camera. That way all this footage will be a lot less shaky. It's a little trouble trying to find these things on the island because it's a small island and there's the selection's a little limited here. It's just really impressive to be out there and just watch just the power of the seas. And that's times when we're really glad we're on the hard and behind the breakwater instead of out there slopping around. Alright, so now I'm able to stand in the shower and oh, my head fits. Yay! So I'm going to do another layer of glass. We're going to take down some of the big chunks that are kind of chunky. We're going to chop them down, and then we're going to glass over those, smooth stuff out. And then the next step will be to start the fairing and actually start making this look nice. But what I'm going to do is a whole another layer of glass on stuff. I'm going to put some ribbon in some areas to kind of beef up a couple spots. Make it look more like a shower floor and less like a project.
So I've been having this kind of nasty sickness for the past couple weeks. It's like tightness in the chest and a headache, and we finally attributed it to the mold that was here when we arrived, and it turns out it's still here in the nooks and crannies that I didn't quite get to. So I've been working really hard these past couple days to really get in and rid the boat of as much mold as I can. But in the meantime, I'm struggling with my health, and so we went to this hippy-dippy store and they prescribed this like biprol, I don't really know, it's like 12 different plants extract of... I'm gonna try it. Doesn't work, I'll go to an actual doctor, but I think the way mold works is you get exposed to it and then it releases its toxins or whatever in your body, and you don't actually feel any sickness until about 2 weeks later. And that is the correct time scale right now for when I should be feeling it. So I'm gonna try this stuff. Bottoms up. Oh, it's not terrible. It actually tastes kind of good. We'll see. We've had a pretty social day today, so we didn't get a whole lot of work done, but that's alright. We're gonna now go try out this African restaurant. Herby's been there and he said it's really good, so I'm excited. It's so good.
On the island of Terceira, they've issued a weather warning for high winds and intense rain all the way until midnight. Okay, so it is horrible outside, and no, we're not going out there.
Ew. We're using our last reserves of water that we had left over from the trip to wash the dishes after we use them. So this water that we're using right now to wash the dishes is from Florida in June. June water from Florida. And it is currently February 13th. Somewhere over the rainbow.
Today is the big day, the day that we're gonna paint the head. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends.
And if you'd like to follow our journey in real time on a map, receive postcards from our ports of call, and messages directly to the boat, you can go ahead and become a patron using the link in the description down below.